everyone, this is Jill with Gateway Worship, and today we're going to learn how to take what we know about the Nashville number system and our vocal charts and apply them to the piano as it pertains to us as vocalists. No, you are not going to be able to play piano on the platform after watching this video, but you will be able to convert what you see on a vocal chart to a key on the piano for note learning purposes. First of all, let's get to know the piano in general. The piano is laid out as a series of black and white keys that sound higher when moving right and lower when moving left. When looking at it, it is easy to see a repeating pattern of 2 and 3 black keys. All the white keys are plain letter notes like A, B, C, etc. that move alphabetically from left to right. All the black keys are sharp or flat letter notes like C sharp or A flat. We will only use the first 7 letters of the alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, when naming our white keys. Once you get to G, you will just start over again with A. Here you will see all the black and white keys with their names. You will notice a number after each of the letters. This is letting you know what octave you are in. For instance, if you go to the far left and find C1, you'll notice the D, E, F, G, A, and B after it all have a 1 after them. They are in the same octave. When you get to the next C, it is a different octave, so it is called C2. The C we're going to hang around the most is C4, which is also called middle C. As said before, all the white keys are plain letter notes or natural notes like A or F. However, the black keys indicate a flat or a sharp of a plain white key. A single black key could function as either a sharp or a flat in a song, depending on which white key it goes with. For example, let's begin by looking at the note D. You can see it there in the middle, tucked in between the 2 black keys. The black key directly to the right of the D is called D sharp in relationship to D. It is a half step higher than D. The black key directly to the left of D is called D flat in relationship to D, and it is a half step lower than D. However, if we were orienting around E, that same black key from before that was D sharp would now be E flat because it is a half step lower than E. Black keys can have more than one name. In the Part 1 vocal chart reading video, you learned how the numbers form a major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Though there are many different types of scales, we will always use the major scale. A scale is a specific pattern of notes built from blocks called half steps and whole steps, which are examples of intervals. And an interval is the distance between 2 notes. Intervals can be many sizes, but the smallest interval is a half step. A half step, indicated visually by a capital H, is the interval between 2 notes directly beside each other on the piano. For example, B to C is a half step. These notes are immediately next to each other, and there is nothing in between them. G to G sharp, D to D flat. These are all examples of a half step. A whole step, indicated visually by a capital W, is 2 consecutive half steps, remember 2 halves make a whole, or the distance between 2 notes while skipping one in between. For example, B to C sharp is a whole step because I skipped the C in between. G to A, E to D are all examples of whole steps. As said before, all scales are specific patterns of half and whole steps. The major scale is composed of 7 different notes using the interval pattern whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. This is a pattern you will want to memorize, so say it a few times to get it locked into your brain. Let's figure out what notes are in the C major scale. First, find C, which is always directly to the left of the group of 2 black keys. Remember, our major scale pattern is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So starting on C, a whole step higher We skip the black key, and the next white key is a D. That's our first whole step. Then a whole step higher than D will be E. We'll now find our first half step, and the note immediately after E is F, since there's no black key in between. So far we have C, D, E, and F. Our next whole step above F is G. Then the whole step above that is A. One more whole step is B. And the last interval in our major scale pattern is a half step. So a half step above B will be C, since there is no black key in between. So the notes of the C major scale are C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. This is the only major scale where we will only be using white keys. All other keys will have at least one black key in them. When writing out a scale, it's helpful to first write out all the letters in order, then we can make adjustments with flats or sharps after that. Let's try it out on a G scale. Starting on G, write out all the letters in order until you get to the next G. So you'll have G, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Now let's take it to the piano and see if these notes line up with our whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half pattern. First, let's find G. The easiest way is to find C, then count up C, D, E, F, G. This is our starting point for the G major scale. G up a whole step goes to A, which is what we have written as our next letter. A up a whole step goes to B. Now our half step is from B to C. Whole step from C to D. Whole step from D to E. And now we need another whole step. But if we were to keep the letters the way we wrote them, our next note would be an F. But the F is only a half step higher than the E. We need it to be a whole step. Remember earlier we talked about how the black keys are named in relationship to the white keys. So in relation to the F, the black key that is a half step higher will be called an F sharp. You will place the sharp sign, which looks like a hashtag, right after the F. Now the last thing we have is a half step, and the half step above F sharp is back to the G. So the notes of a G major scale are G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G. We can also use our Nashville numbers to relate to each of these steps of the G major scale. Now let's walk through figuring out the notes of an F scale. First, write out your letters in order from F up to F, which are F, G, A, B, C, D, E, and F. On the piano, find the F, C, D, E, F, and start walking through the pattern. F up a whole step is G, another whole step is A. Now our next interval should be a half step, but notice the B is a whole step. We need to alter this B so it's only a half step higher than the A. So that brings us to the black key here. And in relation to the B, this is a B flat. You will put the flat sign behind the B. So far we have F, G, A, and B flat. We need a whole step, so we skip over the B and go to C. Then the next hole is D. The next hole is E. And then back to F for our half step. Our notes of the F scale are F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, and F. And again, we can use our Nashville numbers to relate to each of these steps of the F major scale. Every time you write out a scale, make sure you write the letters in order first. It will make it easier to figure out the rest. Also, you will never have sharps and flats in the same scale. It will either be natural notes and sharps or natural notes and flats. Okay, it's time to see how we can use this to help us find the notes on the piano from the Nashville numbers on our vocal charts. In our Part 1 video for vocal chart reading, we used the song Deliverance to explain the vocal chart, so let's stick with that song. The original key for Deliverance is B, so let's figure out what notes are in the B scale. Again, first write out the letters from B up to B. So we have B, C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. Now go to the piano, which you could even use a piano app on your phone if you need to, and let's go through the whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half pattern. First, find the B, which is one note lower than C, and that's our starting point. Right off the bat, we are going to have to make adjustments because B up to C is only a half step, and our pattern tells us it needs to be a whole step. So relating to C, this black key that's a whole step higher will be called C sharp. The next whole step will also be a black key. Instead of calling it D, it will be D sharp. So far we have B, C sharp, D sharp. Then a half step higher will be a regular E. Then a whole step above will be F sharp. Then a whole step will be G sharp. One more whole step will be A sharp. Then our last half step will bring us back to B. So our notes for the B major scale are B, C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, and B. I will now write these notes across the top of my vocal chart with the Nashville numbers below them. Let's say I needed to play the first few notes of the melody in the chorus. I know the melody is the line next to the vocal part that is uppercase and bold print, so that would be the tenor, which is the bottom line. My numbers are 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3. Looking at the notes in the B major scale, I will be using the notes B for 1, C sharp for 2, and D sharp for 3. So it will go like this. 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3. Looking at the top optional soprano line, we see 5s, 6s, 7s, and high 1s. Those notes are F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, and high B. So the line would sound like 5, 5, 6, 1, 1, 5, 6, F, F. Once you figure out the scale, you can play every note on the vocal chart if you need to. If your leader decides to change keys, then all you have to do is figure out the new major scale and play those notes. I pray this opens up a whole new door for you as you learn new worship songs and vocal parts. Keep on practicing and have fun.